today I'll be talking about keeping safe from an autistic perspective. About me, I've got ASD, so autism spectrum disorder, I've got OCD, I've got ADHD, and I've got epilepsy. So the doctor seems to love just me coming in and putting things down on paper. Each of them have had their struggles. The autism I found out quite early. I was non-verbal till I was 6, so I had to learn Macinton and I had to learn other ways of communicating. And it's funny because my mum always knew what I was saying, even if I was going, my mum would always know what I was going on about. And people like my nan, people like my granddad would be like, what's he on about? And yeah, my mum would be like, he wants a biscuit. But the Macinton, was really handy for me and a really, it was my only way of communication, which was quite hard at that age because you just want to scream and shout and get what you need out, and you can't. The OCD came in when I was at primary, and it all started because I just sat on like a tree stump, and it had a mushroom on it. My brother said, "You want to wash your hands? It could be poisonous." So from that moment, I was obsessed with the idea of being poisoned, so worried about it, to the point where if my mum made me a sandwich, I'd go, "Mum, can you take a bite out of that, because I think you poisoned it." So I was alright with mum dying and falling on the floor, but if it came to me, it was a bit like, no, we check this thing out. That went on to then a germ obsession, so I continuously had to wash my hands. I was like a germaphobe, I don't know if you've seen Harry Mandel on America's Got Talent, but he touches anyone, he has to wash his hands. That was basically me. Then it went on to a weight obsession, so I lost a lot of weight. I was only eating a tuna sandwich a day, that was it, and I was 7 stone in year 10, so I was really underweight, really unhealthy, and that was all because one kid in the classroom said, "You're getting a bit chubby," and that's what set that off. So that was an obsession for 3 years, and then my worst obsession came actually when I was at college, and it was obsession with bad luck. Now I felt that if I didn't do certain things, something bad would happen. And I mean, it got to the point where I would cross a road and I would have to look 100 times left and right before I could cross it. I'd have to jump on every draining board that there was, and then had to do left and right again. Anything I touched in parks, like sticks or stones or anything, I would have to put in my pocket and take home. My mum had a field day, "Why have you got 10 stones in your pocket, Max?" They keep cluttering up the washing machine. And just even 12 o'clock at night, my mum didn't mind this one, 12 o'clock at night I had to do the dishwasher. She didn't mind that one. Just continuous obsessions and rituals that I had to do. And at the end of the day, it will make you quite depressed, because you'll think, what's the point living if this is my life? Luckily, I've always had a supportive family network and a supportive friendship group, which have been really helpful, really handy. And one day my mate said to me, "Max, just walk home normally." I went through cognitive behaviour therapy, that didn't work. In the end, I had to be put on medication, which there's part of me that agrees and disagrees with medicine. I think if worst case scenario, go with medicine, but I also don't agree with just stimulating the brain and making it, numb to everything. But at that point, I was doing rituals that was affecting my life and how I lived, so I had to do something. But one day I walked home, and mate said, "Just walk home, don't do any of it, nothing bad will happen." And I said, "All right," and I did. And thank God nothing bad happened, because you can imagine that one, can't you? I started to slow out. There's still some things I do, like I flooded the house once because I had to wet my hair, that was another obsession. Mum was not happy. Water coming through the ceiling, that was at 12 o'clock at night, so that wasn't very nice for her. And just a bunch of other stuff, really, gone for ages. And then epilepsy I found out later on in college, so I wasn't born with epilepsy. It all transpired one night, I was on my game. It's not affected by lights or anything, my epilepsy. 90% of the cases, they don't actually know what causes epilepsy. I'm one of the 90, typical. But one night I was on my game and I had a fit, and my mum and dad thought it was a typical teenager getting the ump on FIFA, banging about a bit. And anyway, my mum came upstairs because she thought something wasn't right, and I was on the floor having a fit. Didn't have one 2 years. For 2 years, they can't diagnose you with epilepsy until you have more than one. So basically, I'd done a skydive, I didn't have a fit, didn't have anything, and then 2 years later in the office, I got up to get some water, and apparently I stacked it, whacked my head on the desk, and I was having a fit. And then after the week after that, I had another one, and then the ultimate one was I had one in the shower, managed to get up, get myself to bed, didn't know how I'd done it because my shower was downstairs. So that for me, the fact that I got from the shower all the way upstairs to my bed and I had no idea how I'd done it, that frightened me, you know, because what was going on in my head. So I work full time in IT. I do YouTube, so I've been on YouTube for 10 years. So I do acting, so I've been on Holby City, Doctors, I've been on The Right Stuff, BBC News. So I also do, I'm ambassador for the National Autistic Society, so they looked for an actor with autism to play a role in their campaign, and from the back of that I'm now ambassador for the National Autistic Society. So I do a lot of speeches up in Parliament, and again, you know, everything that Jesse said in his speech I really agree with, because a lot of people in government as well aren't very aware. You know, it's only this year, with the Autism Act being in, they've now agreed, off the back of the campaign that I've done, that they're now going to start taking numbers of the people who aren't employed with autism. Before, that was took by the National Autistic Society. So now they're starting to take some steps. They need to take more, absolutely. But they do live life, I feel, through a different vision than what I've got. You know, one of them said, well, someone with autism would just go into a job centre if they're struggling. Okay, you really don't get it, do you? A person with autism finds it hard enough to go to a job interview, which is why they probably don't apply for jobs. And if they do apply for a job, they don't get anywhere because that employer isn't willing to take that opportunity or that risk. I don't see it as a risk, I see it as a really good opportunity to hire somebody, because they're probably just as talented, if not more talented, than someone that hasn't got anything. But they see it as a risk, they won't put that person forward, and then that's someone else with autism that's not employed. And you know, the employment rate for autism is 16%, that hasn't changed in 10 years, so that's my advocating, is I continue to do work for that and make sure that actually we get these people in employment, and making employers more aware of actually what they should be doing versus what they aren't. So it just, you know, that's my work with government, and the fact that someone just said, hey, you walk into a job centre, I go, do you know how judgmental a job centre is? You know, some of them are worse, you know, than going to a job interview. So no, you know, it's not a feasible option. And then they cut people's benefit. I knew someone that was epileptic. There was no buses in his area, so he couldn't drive. There was no buses in his area. He had to look after his mum and dad. And then suddenly, out of the blue, they said, right, we're cutting your disability. So I said in the government, in Houses of Parliament, I said, so how does that person, how are you supporting that person? And they said he could always go to a job centre. Okay, you don't get it. You really don't get it. He isn't going to go to a job centre because he isn't going to get a job anytime soon because he's caring for his mum and dad. He can't drive anyway to get to the job. He can't get on the bus because there's no buses there. And now you've cut the only resource or the only bit of income that guy's got to keep going. And they just went, well, it's not good enough, is it? You know, it's all right with them living in their houses and they're living it up, but there are people struggling. And it angers me that they don't see that. It really frustrates me. So what I do in my spare time as well is I do some stuff for charity. So about 3 years or 4 years ago, I said I'm going to do something for charity every year. So that's what I've done. So the first year I've done a skydive. That was a big mistake. The second year I've done an abseil. The third year I've done a 15k run, and this year I'm doing a zip line up in Wales. So yeah, all different charities as well. I try and spread it. They've gone to Autistic Society was one of them, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Pancreatic Cancer Action, and then this year they're going to British Heart Foundation and Roy Castle. So, today I'll be talking about, again, keeping safe. So one of the biggest things on my mind is cyberbullying. So some facts about cyberbullying. So nearly 43% of kids have been bullied online. I know I have. 1 in 4 has had it happen more than once. Very true. To me as well. 70% of students report seeing frequent bullying online. So at least we know that students are reporting it. But what fascinates me is still, if it's happening to 43%, why does it keep happening in 1 in 4? And what are schools doing to stop it? 70%. If students are reporting it, what's happening afterwards? Only 1 in 10 victims will inform a parent or trusted adult of their abuse. People don't want to speak up. People feel ashamed or frightened to say what's going on because they're then scared about what will happen after. Bullying victims are 2 to 9 times more likely to consider committing suicide, and 37% develop depression as a result of cyberbullying. So some more stats as well, and this kind of backs up Jesse's claim as well. So at the top you can see the percentage of people who have had a nasty comment on their profile, posted on their photo, been sent a nasty private message, had their profile wrongfully reported, been bullied online, private information shares, somebody impersonated them online, rumours about them posted online, had photos, videos of them that they don't like. And then you see at the bottom which social networks are used most often, and it's Facebook, Instagram and Snapchat. YouTube is at the lowest, with Tumblr and Twitter and WhatsApp just about. WhatsApp's increasing, so it's same with Snapchat. What worries me about Snapchat mainly is predators, because what I find really bad about Snapchat is you only have to be 13 to sign up. That is the actual legal age you can sign up to Snapchat. Now, Facebook you can monitor, Twitter you can monitor. You as a parent can have your child's phone and go, right, give me your phone, I want to see who you've been messaging, what's going on. Snapchat, if you share, say, like Jesse says, something on Facebook, say you share your username, a lot of people go into their about me, and they put their number, or they put their Snapchat. That person who's now not even your friend on Facebook has now gone onto your Facebook, now got your Snapchat. That person then adds you on Snapchat, and say they are a predator, they can pretend that they know you, or they can pretend and they can start using their methods to get into your child's head. What's worse about Snapchat is you as a parent, if you're monitoring this, you can't see it, because Snapchat deletes it. So it's gone. So it's all right Snapchat having the data, because that data never goes. People that go, oh, I send, photos I shouldn't over Snapchat, no one has them. Yes, they do. Snapchat has them. Anything you put online is always out there. But what worries me about the child predator thing is, say someone is speaking to your child on Snapchat, the evidence is gone, and that's the worrying thing, and that's why I really don't like Snapchat, because the evidence is gone. You've got nothing. You don't even know it's happening.
Can you just expand on that a bit before? So when somebody's messaging someone...
Thank you. If somebody's messaging, what do you actually mean it gets deleted? What, instantly the messages go within 24 hours or something?
So you have a setting on Snapchat. You can set it to 24 hours, but both people have to agree. So basically someone can change it, you can change it back. As soon as you go into that message, it's there. You can save the message, but a lot of people don't do that, which is why they use the service. But as soon as they come out of it, it's gone. So that's the danger of Snapchat. It's gone, and the photos as well. You can only click on them, I believe, twice on a Snapchat photo, so you can view it twice. Some photos they send, and they can set a timer on it, so it deletes after 5 seconds after you viewed it. But even that's dangerous, because when people have sent those photos, some people can do a screen grab, and then they've got a confidential photo of you that you didn't want them to have, but now they've suddenly got it because they've screen grabbed it. And obviously if it's a predator who's speaking to your child, they can be sending that, deleting it after 5 seconds, whatever, and you don't know about it. And that's what really frustrates me. And to be 13, to set the age that low at 13, that you can sign up for that, I think is mad. I know people will sign up anyway, regardless of their age, That's what scares me about Snapchat, and that's why it's important that we know, what our kids are using, how they're using it, and who they've got on it. And it's important, as Jesse said, that we monitor our Facebooks and we make sure that, a lot of people, what they're doing now is they want to feel official on Instagram. They want an official page on Instagram, like a tick on Twitter. People look at these things like they're tokens, like they're, oh, I've got to have that. Would I like a blue tick? Of course I would. But Instagram, for you to get a page that's linked with your Facebook page and whatnot, and have all the links and all the badges, you now have to put your telephone number in and your business name. And people are doing this willingly, and then people have got their phone numbers. And they don't understand the actual impact it will have if someone's got your phone number. Again, someone could text you, you don't even know who they are. But cyberbullying, what really annoys me about cyberbullying is people, when they're behind their computers, think they're called keyboard warriors. They think they can say everything and anything and get away with it. And it's because they're protected. If they were face to face, they would never say it. It's a bit like Trump when he tweets. He says things, and he goes, I didn't say that. I never said that. I never said that, folks. But you did. You blatantly did. You tweeted it. He doesn't realise what he's doing. He doesn't realise that actually what he says online, people will use against him. And it hurts. And people will hold it, and people will hold it against him because you've said something that's totally out of order. It shouldn't be said. People are very brave when they're behind a computer. But when it comes face to face, they're not. And they don't realise, actually, sometimes that they are bullying. Sometimes they comment something and they think it's funny to them, but actually it's really affected that person behind the scenes, and they don't see that. I always say technology is brilliant, but when it's in the hands of someone who will use it for wrongdoing, it's terrible. Some things I advise people, and this is more towards the people that it's happening for, and then I advise what schools and parents can do. But tell someone, absolutely tell someone. It might be embarrassing, but you know what? It's better to get it out. And sometimes you feel it's your fault when you tell someone and they reassure you it's not, and actually that person's doing something that they shouldn't be doing. That's reassuring for you. Ignore them. I know it's easier said than done. Doing YouTube throughout the years, gosh, that's been hard. Had someone who he turned around to me and he said, this was on my new channel, MaxiAspie. I talk about autism and Asperger's on there. He said, great, just what we need, another YouTuber talking about his problems. So I commented, and again, I should have just ignored it at the time. I thought, no, because what I've used the process of doing sometimes, and this will probably make you laugh, sometimes I've killed them with kindness, and then they regret what they've said. I've actually had people that go, oh, now I feel bad, I shouldn't have said that. So this guy, I thought, I'd just see if I can. So I said, sorry you didn't like it, if you don't like it, just don't watch, sorry. And he said, why don't you kill yourself? He then said, oh, you're fat. And I said, thanks. I am fat. Thank you for the update. I need to lose weight. So it's just sometimes ignoring them and letting them know, actually, whatever you say, I really don't care. That's the key to it. Don't care what people think or what people say. It's only because they're insecure about themselves and they have to make someone feel worse to make themselves feel better. So ignore them, honestly, they're not worth it. If they can't say it to you, that says a lot about them. And if they have to say it over the internet, then that says more about them. So, report it on social media. Remove them on social media. If they're not being nice, don't have them on there. No reason to have them on there. If they're just going to be nasty, my mum always said, if you've got something bad to say, don't say anything at all, right? If you've got anything nice to say, just don't have them on there. You're not going to have a nice conversation with them. They're never going to say, oh, you're all right. Why? I only have people on there that really, as Jesse said, networking or their friends, anything else, if they're being nasty, I just remove them. There's no point of having them. Block them. Always say, don't waste any time. If they're being nasty, remove them, block them. And if worse comes to the worst, I know that you shouldn't have to. At the end of the day, if it's causing you distress and it's causing you horrible thoughts and a horrible life, it's best just to get off it, you know, and nip it in the bud. Yes, you shouldn't have to, but you know what, if it protects your well-being and it makes you feel better, then just do it, you know, it's not worth it. So, parents and schools, get to know more about the technology, social media that your child uses. So I think it's really important that, you know, you ask about the Snapchat, because, you know, it's important that we know about all this, you know, especially with technology forever evolving. There's always something out. There's always, you know, there's always something else that's out, and it's important that we keep up to speed with it. And a lot of schools, and you know, if you ask a teacher what Snapchat is, they probably, I don't know, they probably wouldn't know. They'd probably go, well, what is Snapchat? I didn't know what Snapchat was till a couple of years ago, until someone said, and I went, what's the point of that? Literally, my mate, he said to me, I said, well, what is the point of Snapchat? He goes, what do you mean? It's cool. I go, no, it's not. You send something, it deletes. Have you ever heard of a text message? I can speak in the same way. Oh yeah, but on that you get to take photos. I take photos on Facebook. Yeah, but they delete after 5. Well, why would I want my photo to delete? Oh, I know why I want my photo to delete. Right. Now, yeah, and then you get the grips of it. Okay, why? They know what they want that service to be used for. Your photo deletes after 10 seconds. Why would you want that? So get used to what they know, understand the risks, take an active interest in who they're interacting with. If a new friend pops up, never heard him before, does he go to the school? You know, these are things that it's a bit like, okay, can I see this person? Because they could be someone, we don't know who they are. I had a friend request from my nan the other week. My nan's already on Facebook, messaged me. She said, hi Max, how are you doing? I would never say that. No, share it to your friends to give him luck. That's what my nan would share. She wouldn't just out the blue go, hi Max, how are you doing? Put her on Snapchat, she'd go, where's my message gone? It's meant to do that now. You know, so, you know, it's mad. So again, the risks, predators out there who will use these platforms that will get this information, that will pretend to be someone that they're not. Use parental settings on mobile phones, laptop, tablets, and game consoles. There's a family setting on game consoles now. If you don't want them to speak to online people, you can set that up. You can even go into the Microsoft account and do that. Again, all this needs to be, and I'm sure this gentleman here can advise on that at the end, but there's a lot of settings that actually we can do to protect you know, the children and ourselves. You know, all my settings on Facebook are private, all my Facebook friends you can't see, because I think as much as I owe protection to myself, I owe it to them as well. So it's about thinking about the bigger picture. Use privacy settings for online gaming, social media sites, so spoke about that a bit more as well. And this last one is really interesting, cross-comparison. How many of us, and be honest, have compared yourself to a celebrity in this group? And we've compared it on looks, we've compared it on success. So I look at this image here and do what's fascinating. All the people at the bottom were born into rich families, and all the people at the top, parents are famous. A lot of the acting, a lot of the celebrity, a lot of all of it is about who you know and what you've got behind you. If you haven't got one of those two, it's a lot harder. And what a lot of kids don't realise is people like the Kardashians, would they be anywhere without their parents? You know, Jaden Smith is another one. His dad, Will Smith, arguably one of the most famous actors. Would he be in films? Would he be in Karate Kid? Would he be on a record label if it wasn't for his dad's contacts? Would the people at the bottom be where they are without the financial backing? They wouldn't. But what children fail to realise is that is actually the reality. Is these people do have money and these people do have backing, and it is about who you know. I had a conversation with an actor once, and he was just about to be in a big film, Angry Birds. He's about to do the voiceover, and I said, "How did you get into that?" And he turned around to me. He goes, "Oh well, I live next to," and he gets me the parts. So, and you've just got a part in Angry Birds because you're born next to a celebrity's uncle, and that's sometimes how simple it is. But we don't, and they won't tell you that. because they don't want you to know that. They want you to know, no, I've done that on my own. You know, it's about who you know, and people will always compare themselves to people. I do it constantly.
The other side of that, thank you. Certainly the boys that I work with, the fact of sort of reality TV and that kind of celebrity status, they all see it as actually anyone can be wealthy and famous without that talent, without that leg up, without knowing.
Yeah.
And so, for example, all my students think they're all going to be the next biggest drill sensation because they watch all this, again back to social media, they watch it all and they see that, you know, you can just start in your bedroom, you can just be whoever, and actually you can have the wealth and the rich and the notoriety and all that kind of thing. So I think that's the other side, which is equally as
I really
dangerous.
agree, and the thing about that as well is people think it's too easy, and it's not. Even making a video in your bedroom, believe me, I do it every week, it's hard. I edit it, it's hard work. People will very quickly become discouraged and they won't continue doing it. I've known so many people that have started YouTube, within 2 weeks they don't do it anymore, because they realise it's hard, but that sets them on even more downfall, because then they think, it wasn't that easy, what am I going to do now? And that's, you know, that's the frightening bit. And I really agree with what you say. A lot of them will go, oh, I'm going to be a footballer.
So I don't need the study, I don't
Yeah,
need the
I don't need that, I don't need this. But I always say to people, you know, whatever you want to do in life, go for it. One go that you're here, this is not an audition. Yeah, this isn't a playthrough. This is real life. I want to make my life as memorable and as exciting, as adventurous, and I'm going to give everything that I can a go. With that, my message is obviously we've got to be really careful online. We've got to be careful. We've got to be aware. We've got to stop kind of living in a blame culture that somebody deserves something as well. I see a lot of people getting picked on. They go, well, they deserve it. No one deserves it. It's rubbish. It just shouldn't be happening. Whatever they've done, whatever you've done, it should be happening. It just keeps going round. Our information is our information. Let's not be so keen to share it. And as well as that is just know that you're enough. You know, don't feel that you have to compare. You know, carry on trying. Don't give up. Be careful. Be safe. Be secure. And look out for the ones that you love, and not only look out for the ones that you love, but look out for everyone, you know, because we should all love each other and we should all support each other, and that's my message. So, thank you.